Hey, you guys. So today we're going to be starting a new series where we're going to be doing an overview over an entire bundle. And for this first series, we're going to be doing the PSP Audioware Mixpack2. Now, this first video is going to be about the PSP Audioware MixBass2. This is a low frequency processor designed to basically enhance low end material. And this can be used on anything from loops all the way to recorded audio. I find that this works really well when it comes to enhancing bass, kick sounds, or otherwise really static or percussive things. Now, let's get started right here. From left to right, we have the control section. This is where you can choose what frequency you're going to be tuning. The first knob that you see is Tune. This knob sets the cutoff of low-end frequencies that are going to be processed by the PSP MixBass2. One thing to keep in mind is that the bass frequency content used for the harmonic generator has a cutoff frequency of 1 octave below the tune frequency. You can tune the bass frequency from 20 Hz all the way to 600 Hz. Under that, you have In Cut. You can use this knob to set the input cutoff filter between 0 Hz all the way to 500 Hz. This is a great way to get rid of any boomy or excessive low-end frequencies that may get in the way of the material. The next section we have is the compressor section, or compress. This basically works by compressing anything that is under the threshold. So any low-end material will be automatically compressed to have a more controlled dynamic response. The ratio knob can vary the compression ratio from 1:1, which is no compression, all the way to 4:1. The original PSP MixBass ratio was fixed at 2:1. So if you want to use the original settings, be sure to use 2:1. The time knob controls the compressor's combined attack and release parameters. When the knob is set to higher values, the response is slower, but it is a much more obvious sound. When the knob is set to its minimum, the response is quick and a little bit more distorted. The knob can be adjusted between 0% and 100%. At time settings of 50% equals the original PSP MixBass compression settings. The character section is a section that adds higher end harmonics to the original bass frequency that you chose. So let's say you chose something at 60 Hz. This will add more and more harmonics based on the fundamental that you chose. Be careful when doing this on acoustically recorded material. This tends to sound very unnatural, but it sounds very good on synthetic sounds. Next, you have the punch section, which has 3 controls. Level, which basically allows you to dynamically control whether you're reducing or increasing the punch of the selected frequency. And frequency, which determines the center frequency of the boost or cut you set. This can go from 32 Hz all the way to 16 kHz. The Q knob adjusts the bandwidth. Smaller Q values result in very wide notch filters, where larger Q values in narrow boosts or cuts. You can adjust the Q value between 0.1 to 10. Now in all sections, you have a process knob underneath except for the control and the output. This is actually to bypass those specific controls. The reason why the control and the output do not have a process is because control is where you select the fundamental frequency which you're going to be enhancing, and out controls the overall bass level and the output cutoff on the low end. Now next you have this little section in the bottom, which has main process, input, mix, output, and output saturation. Main process basically turns the whole processor on or off. Input allows you to drive or reduce the incoming signal. The mix knob is great for when you want to do parallel processing. This is great in instances where you want to overdo the processing so you can have a really noticeable effect, but then you want to back it down so you do not have something that is too audible and too distorted. Output is the output of the combined signal. This is where you can gain match, level boost, or cut, depending on whatever you need to do. By the left and right LEDs, you have output saturation. This activates a soft clipping, which will prevent you from going over 0 dB full scale. This also adds a nice color, and from what I noticed, it also does reduce a little bit of the excess low end. So if you want to do this, this is great for an effect, or if you just want to protect yourself from clipping. Now, in the next video, we're going to show you and go through a couple of processes to show you how exactly you would be using this.